All right, back in the basement again to talk about this, the SaunaBox from SaunaBox, I think. We'll figure it out. Anyways, I want to give you a little bit of context here. I had this for a couple of weeks. In fact, probably a couple of months now that I think about it. I've been bad about putting out videos. I'm apologizing. I hope everyone's having a great holiday season. Times are just busy for me, but I want to give you some context of this box. So my wife and I have been interested in acquiring a sauna for our home. However, there's been a couple of hurdles or reasons why we haven't done so as of yet. And we've been in this home for almost 4.5 years now. Number one is the cost. Most saunas, when you take a look at the cost, are going to be at least $1,200. And that's just for like the bare bones basic ones. So that's not something that we want to jump into yet because who knows if we'll actually end up using it. Number two is the actual footprint itself. Those things are big boxes, typically made of wood. They take up a lot of floor space, not something I want to give up here in the gym, not something I want to put in the garage or in another area of our home. And third is the fact that most of those sauna boxes that are legit saunas actually require some sort of electrical work to be done. Most of them operate on 240 volts, not the standard 120. So I don't want to have to, number one, have an electrician out here to install something, to take up a lot of floor space, and pay a lot of money for something that I'm not sure that we would end up using. Hence the reason why we never pulled the trigger on it. So when SaunaBox approached me and said, hey, we have this basic portable one for you, will you want to give it a shot and give us some feedback on it? I said, sure. Well, my wife said, yes, let's do it. And then I said, sure, we'll do it because happy wife, happy life. Love you, honey. So the thing with this is it kind of checks off all those boxes that we were hesitant about. Number one, the cost. Right now, this thing retails for $349. It says it's on a Black Friday sale, but I think it was that price beforehand. You also get thrown in some accessories with it, which I'll talk about during the course of this video. So the cost is much more easy to jump into. It's marked down from like $450, but regardless of that price, $350 or $450, I think that that's an acceptable price range for what you get here on this unit. Now, I will say, as far as pricing goes, I did look, there are other ones on Amazon that look very similar to this that are priced at about half that cost. However, they don't have some of the background information that I feel is important, like being that it's antimicrobial, that it has bacteria resistance, and the material, it states all that stuff where a lot of those other ones don't. The heating unit looks a lot nicer on this unit as well, and you get some warranty information along with that. So are they identical? I don't know, but I would feel just having better peace of mind going with something that actually states that on the website and is more reputable in terms of the company itself. So price point, much more attractive on something like this. The floor space on this is actually pretty similar. As you can tell right now, I'm standing next to it. I'm 6'3". This is a fairly large unit, which means by de facto, I too am also a fairly large unit. Soak that in. So this does take up a lot of space, but based off of the construction, which is like this material, which is on a shell of like fiberglass piping that you put together and build. And I think I have some time lapse of me putting this thing together, which by the way, was really easy. I followed the directions to a T just to make sure that I didn't mess anything up. But one of the accessories that this comes with when you buy it is a carrying case, and that's because if you really want to, you can break this down. So right now for storage, I'm actually keeping it right off to my right behind the black curtain. Again, I'll show you some B-roll of where it lives. It's kind of out of the main gym floor space, which I like. It's also in an area which doesn't have all these LED lightings, which is a little bit darker. So for relaxation and recovery, I think that's more ideal. Tucked away, out of the way. But if I really wanted to, I could break this down. So if you're not planning on using this very often, maybe once a week or even less than that, like you could in theory break this down, store it away easily and pop it back up whenever you're ready. Now it still does take some time to build, so it's not as convenient as some of those maybe pop-up tents you've seen, which you just kind of open up and they spring to life. You're still gonna have to build these off, but I think the more you do it, if you're gonna go that route, the easier it's going to get. So again, the cost point is much more attractive on this versus a traditional sauna. The floor space is about the same, but it can be broken down and put away, whereas if this was made out of wood, would not be something I'd be willing or able to do. Lastly, the electricity for this requires a standard 15 amp, 120 volt outlet. So your normal wall outlet to plug in the heating unit. So you don't have to make any changes to your electrical. This doesn't need to be hardwired in or anything like this. And it is quite portable. So you could put this away in a bag and carry it and take it wherever you so choose. Not that I would do that. So this eliminates all the hesitations I had with going with the full sauna route. Now, one of the things I will say is my wife, myself, my kids actually have used this a lot. It's something that they look forward to, which is a great sign. Anytime I bring gym equipment in, whether it be for actual lifting or in this case, recovery, I'm always hesitant to bring something in I'm not sure of because I don't know if it'll get any use. This thing has gotten a ton of use. So if we did decide to go with the more traditional sauna route down the road, we now know that we would more than likely use it based off of our use case with this, which has been very nice, again, at a lower price point. Now, I mentioned the price point. I mentioned one of the accessories you get as a carrying case. You obviously also get the heating unit, which is right there. That plugs into just a normal wall outlet. Opening this thing, getting in it is very easy. It has zippers on it. So if I were to do this, lets you in to see where the magic happens. I mentioned already that the material here is resistant to bacteria, at least it says it does. So one of the concerns, or probably one of the only concerns I would have with this, and I had with it when I set it up, is this sauna is more steam and humidity based. So it's what I would consider like a wet sauna versus a dry sauna, which means that you're looking at like a top temperature of around 130 degrees, or at least that's what advertised. My own personal use of trying to get the temperature inside the unit using just like one of those thermal thermometers is I got anywhere from like 120 to 125 on average. So it's right around where it says it was for me. Now, you got to factor in that that's not extremely accurate. And when you're pointing it at different places, the temperature can change some. So like, for instance, if I point it at the heating unit inside the actual sauna, it's much, much hotter than that because that thing gets blazingly hot. Or if I'm pointing it up high, like at the fabric or one of the pipes, again, the temperature is going to change. So top temperature for me was around 125 degrees. That's Fahrenheit. Celsius, I'd be melted. But because it's more humidity based, I do find that it is very warm in there. So I don't mind that it doesn't get as hot as, let's say, a dry sauna because of the humidity and the wetness. It's like you're in the jungle. You end up getting a very good sauna experience in that regard. Let's get back to accessories because I went off on a tangent. You also get a chair, which isn't the most ideal chair. It is what it is though. You come in here, again, you have this large unit, both the SaunaBox and myself, and you have this tiny little chair. There is a ton of extra room in here. Obviously, when you're seated down here, it's not the most comfortable thing. It's something like you'd find on like a soccer field if you have kids in youth sports. It is what it is. I don't typically spend more than 15 minutes or so in here when I actually do sauna. And I do fit, again, being 6'3". You could position the chair a little bit different. You could probably invest in your own chair if you wanted. Like I said, this is included when you actually buy on the website. Something you can't see on right now, but I'll try to get some B-roll of it. There's also a mat that goes inside here. It's like a heavy, heavy rubberized fabric. So as it gets wet in here, as you sweat, it's going to soak all that up. It is machine washable, which is really nice as well. And you can also see the heating unit inside here, which is connected to the heating unit outside. So the basic premise of how this thing works, as I can, again, fully stand up in here, and I have a lot of room to do whatever. So if I wanted to take a standing sauna, I could, I guess. This thing heats up water that you put in the top. It's recommended you use distilled water, which we've been doing. It's super cheap. It's not really convenient to have a bunch of jugs of distilled water potentially. So some of the things that we also do is just use the filtered water out of our refrigerator upstairs to put it in here if need be. Heats the water up, pumps steam in here through the unit. The steam then fills this up. It gets warm. Now, one of the things I will say is depending on how much water you put in there is going to dictate how long this thing takes to heat up and get ready. If I'm taking a normal sauna for me, which is like a 10 or 15 minute sauna, I don't have to put a ton of water in here, and this thing takes about 10 minutes to warm up. If I just fill this thing to the top because I don't want to deal with putting water in and out of here, or if I want to take an extremely longer sauna, it's going to take a lot longer to warm up, which if I'm down here training or doing whatever else isn't a big deal, but just plan accordingly. If you're going to come and turn this on, you might want to come back down after 15 to 20 minutes to make sure it's at the right temperature. Speaking of that, one of the other cons that I found is with the heating unit on the inside, if you're moving this sauna in and out, There does tend to be water that collects in that unit. You can dump it out, but if you move this at all or bump into that heating unit inside, it will spill water, which is more of an annoyance than anything. It's not going to damage it. Again, the mat that it's on will soak up that water eventually, but it is just something that I noticed with use happens fairly often. Another thing you can do with the heating unit on the inside is open it up and put in some essential oil. So I actually went and bought some rosemary because I read online that that can help with recovery and circulation. And if you read it online, you know that it's true. So occasionally we'll put a couple of drops of those essential oils in here. So not only are you getting that steamy jungle sensation of a nice sauna, but you can pump in some good old-fashioned fumes as well, which smells really nice. And it is very relaxing. And that's one of the things I was hesitant on with getting something like this, is a lot of the recovery tools I've tested out here on this channel, from cold plunges to massage guns, I haven't found that I've actually wanted to use them or that anyone else in my family uses them. In this case, I actually do find that this helps for recovery. I don't feel like I get a performance boost or anything like that, but this thing makes you very relaxed, very comfortable. So how we like to use it is basically before bed or before a shower. In some cases that aligns with post-training. A lot of times it doesn't. And the reason I say that we like to do it kind of like at night or before a shower, before bed, is because this thing, again, because it's humidity based and steam based, you get really wet in here, which again, very relaxing, can be also somewhat invigorating. Although those are two kind of different thoughts, but getting out of here, you're soaking wet for the most part. You need to towel off, which is fine, but I just like to take a shower after getting in here. And if it's in the middle of the day, like I normally train during my lunch break at work and go right upstairs and go back to work in my office, like I would want and need a shower before doing anything else. So in most cases, I don't do this exactly after training. I'll go and train, finish my work, do the rest of whatever things. Once my kid goes down to bed, I'll come down here before I take a shower at the night, get a nice sauna in, feel nice and relaxed, take a shower, clean off, and I can go right to bed, which in theory helps recovery because I'm more relaxed, easier to fall asleep, get a better sleep, get better results in your training. And that's how I find that this thing really fits in. Now, some of the concerns with this might be the cleaning process. So the way that it suggests on the site is once you're done, because everything gets wet in here, yourself included, as I've mentioned, it says just open the door up, wipe down some of the stuff with a towel. They do provide you with a microfiber towel with this. Not a very large one, I will say, but they do provide you with a towel. You can wipe it down and let it kind of air dry. You can then wash the mat as you see fit. And I haven't found that it's building up any kind of mildew, no mold, bacteria that I can see at least, or smell. So I've found that it has worked really well in that regard, but just know that it is going to get wet in here and you will have to have some upkeep with it. At the end of the day, like I said, at $350 with the discount price, with the accessories included, or even at $450, I think I would feel pretty comfortable saying that this is a decent buy, especially if you're looking at it from my point of view, which is you don't want to spend a lot of money on a sauna. You don't want to give up a lot of space because, again, this thing can break down. And number three, you don't have to deal with some sort of electricity that you might not have available to you at your house. I think for $350 or even $450, this might be a good solution for a lot of you. If you're interested, I will put a link in the description box below, which just tells them that I sent you. I don't think it gives you any money off, so if you don't want to use it, no harm, no foul. I don't believe I'm getting paid for any of that anyways. I didn't ask to be. They just gave me that as a way to refer people to show them that I sent them. But at the end of the day, the SaunaBox is something that my family and myself have found quite useful. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.